See this right here? This gate has actually like gnawed its way into this picket and this post, and then it drags. We're gonna show you how to build a gate properly, and I'm gonna show you just how to do that today. Some of the fence structure does need to be replaced a little bit later down the road. You might see a couple banana rails. You're gonna have to look past that, but right now, main focus, just getting a new gate. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the gate. Should we have a moment of silence for the old gate? Okay, now we can take it out. We're gonna use a 1/4 inch impact to take the nuts off these bolts to dismount this gate. Keep track of your old hardware so that way you don't risk hitting it with a lawnmower. We are going to harvest the old wood pickets and we're going to reuse those. We're not going to reuse them with the existing screws. We're going to put new screws in. We're going to use cedar 2x4s and we're going to use stainless steel fasteners. Why? If you don't use a stainless steel fastener or a coated fastener, you could use a coated, but we recommend stainless steel. You'll start getting all these black streaks from the tannic acid reacting against the metal in the hardware. Now we're gonna take off the hinges. We're gonna get rid of those. We're gonna salvage the pickets and we're gonna build a brand new cedar frame and put the old pickets on that. This fence is custom with a K and we wanna keep it that way. I'm gonna use a T25 bit. I'm gonna use 3-inch stainless steel screws that were provided in the gate kit. This is gonna be my go-to throughout the whole video of how I'm gonna install my screws, how I'm gonna install my hardware. It's always gonna be the 1/4 inch impact. And here what we have is we have our cedar stringers that we got in our gate kit. One at the top, one in the middle, and one at the bottom. And then we're gonna go vertical this way on the ends, and then we're also gonna have our one diagonal. So on the last gate, we were hinged on this post, and we're latching on this post, which is totally fine because I don't really think that there's a true slope one way or the other. Just like any other gate though, if we had a slope, we still want to hinge on the low side. So if we were slanted like this would be our hinge post because we're gonna gain elevation as it opens. If you hinge on the high post, you're gonna drag into the ground as it opens. Always, 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 always hinge on the low post. And I'm gonna make these tight, so I wanna cut them just a little bit proud so that way I have to wedge them in place and then I can screw them. And I believe we're 40 1/4 on the top. We're gonna go 40 3/8 just to make it a little bit tighter. So we're just gonna go ahead and put a small T on here. You don't wanna mark the whole entire thing, something small in a small place that they're not gonna be able to notice when you're said and done. Perfect. On the back side here, we were talking earlier about how we had banana rails back here. So what they have back here is they have this 2x4, but they have it turned the opposite direction, the unstructural direction. This is not the way, because what happens over time is they naturally sag. What we are doing is we're taking ours this way, and we're gonna go ahead and match the center line of this. We're gonna go 5 3/4 to the center. We wanna make sure that this 2x4 doesn't stick out past the face of that post. The reason being is because later when we go to skin it with the pickets, we're just gonna go ahead and install the hinges and the latches before we even cut it free. And with these screws, just gotta put it somewhere gentle that we can access later to get them back out. So all we're doing right now is we're matching from top to top. I don't need a ton in there, I just need a little bit just to hold it. Now we're gonna grab this measurement, 40 3/4. 41. So all the way from the top to the bottom is 5/8 of an inch out of level. If you have a 2x4 and you have one side that's just a little bit favorably nicer than the other, face the not so nice side to get covered up by the pickets. Ouch. Okay, just do a little bit of a trim. Just a little bit easier to get in and out. And we do have a little bit of a split here. I think we'll be okay. Just like the top, we're gonna measure, find center, and place that. Okay, so now that we have our 2x4 cedar stringers up in place, the next thing what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna put a vertical here all the way through, and a vertical here all the way through, and then we're gonna go ahead and do our compression brace. So this side is gonna be the hinge, this side is gonna be the latch. So on the latch side, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna mark 1 inch. So we're not gonna go past that mark. Nothing can come past this mark because that's how much room I want to have for my latch. I've gone closer. I mean, if you want to hit the bare minimum, 3/4 of an inch will work, but I guarantee you that you're gonna be fiddling with that latch in the next few weeks. And on this side, 3/8. We'll give ourselves 3/8 of an inch. So that's where any framework will come to a stop, and that's where the pickets will come to a stop. And same right here on this side. And before we do anything else, I just wanna stand back and look at everything to make sure everything's kind of flowing the same way. 2 3/4. I don't have an extra set of hands, but I got a clamp, and we could sit and measure these out all day long. We could get them the right length, but getting them the right angle makes it a little bit more of a challenge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clamp this. So I'm just gonna draw a line right there. I'm gonna draw a line underneath there. The only thing I need to do now is I need to identify the 2 different parts some way. So we're gonna go ahead and put B here for bottom, T for top. Once we cut the gate free, we can access this side and run some up that way too. Now, hey, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm excited now. Oh, what are we gonna do next?
You're so excited.
Yeah. So one of the things is why we don't want to build our gate on a bench or in your driveway. Now, typically what we have is we have sloping ground away from houses, and that's where a lot of the gates are. If we had a sloping gate away from the house and we make our fence match the terrain, then our gate will not be square necessarily. If you don't know how your gate's sloped, you can put a level up here and see, and this gate is actually going to be fairly level. Now, it looks a little funny because we have a little different reveal on this post than we do here, but what we have is from here to the top of the picket's 5 inches, and same thing on this side, from here to the top of the picket is 5 inches. So we know that this gate's flat, but if it wasn't and we were building it in place, it wouldn't matter what the slope was, everything would always line up, and the tops of the pickets would always match, and we don't have to do a whole bunch of math to figure that out. We don't have to do a bunch of figure out what our angles are, because we're basically just drawing our angles on here like you'll see coming up, because the next thing we need to do now that we've done this is put the brace on. But I want to rewind for just a second and talk about these gaps. Knowing the type of hardware you're going to put on your gate is going to make a big difference in the gaps. When I first showed up, I asked Dan why we would have a gap like this and didn't realize that he had brought this style hinge. Now, this isn't a hinge we use all the time, but it works really well if you need a lot of adjustment. Not the standard hinge we use, and not the one that would come in a package like this, but this is an option if you need some adjustment, or maybe your gate sagged and you want to put some better hinges on it and you want some adjustment for the future. This will allow you to do that because we have 2 screws here, as opposed to the other style hinge, which is what we call a traditional strap hinge. This is the Western Watt gate kit, but a hinge like this is going to give you 0 adjustment. The reason we're not using a hinge like this, and we've chosen on this gate to use a hinge like this, is very simple. So if I put this type of hinge on here, I'm trying to make that strap line up exactly with this rail, and this rail is all warped and bent and it's very thin, and trying to hit that's difficult. Again, we would never turn our rails like that, but if we're doing a rehab like this, we have no choice. And I don't know necessarily if we're going to hit that rail, and especially if we had a real steep slope, we might start off hitting the rail here and be completely off the rail by the time we got to the last bolt. Whereas a hinge like this, not only do we get that extra adjustment, but all these screws are going to be right into that post. The only thing to remember is that if we're going to use a hinge like this, we probably need to leave these posts just a little bit taller on that hinge side. Luckily for us, these people did leave it that much taller, so we can do that. because this hinge has a little bit of adjustment, we need a little larger gap for this than we would a hinge like this because there's no adjustment. So that's why knowing the type of hinge that you're going to use can change the type of gap that you're going to have here. And when we get done, what we'll do is we'll trim all these off so they're even and it'll look perfect. This is what we like to call a strap hinge. They have butterfly hinges that would basically be without all this, and it'd have 3 holes here. And then the other one we have is like a T-hinge, and the T-hinge just bolts to the post, and then we can hit that center of the rail every time. So a few different types of hinges. The standard hinge we use on all our gates is this hinge. So if you order a gate kit from us, this is the type of hinge it will come with. If you need hinges for a rehab or anything like that, then these are a great option. And we'll put a link to these down below so that you can buy them easily. Now that we've covered all the hardware that we're going to use and why we did what we did and why we didn't do what we didn't do, what's next?
Compression brace.
Oh, yeah. So that means we're going to hinge it off this side, so that means we're going to go this way, right? Okay.
No, that's a tension brace.
Oh, silly goose. We line it up down there, and then we're gonna cut that off a little long, a little wild. Okay, so you got that side. You got the bottom?
Yep.
I'm good on the top. So he labeled these top and bottom because they are different. We just want to make sure we can easily put them back in the same spot. So that's a great idea. Because we're going to hinge off of this side, we don't want to put the brace in tension. And the tension means that the natural way for this gate to settle is going to be straight down on the latch side here. And we want to prevent that. And if we did brace going this way, it would be trying to pull all those pieces of wood together. Whereas this way, it's trying to squish all that wood together when it's supported by a hinge down here. So this is going to be the strongest way and the way that is least prone to sagging over time, doing a compression brace this way. And so a compression brace will go from the hinge side being low to the latch side being high, and that's how you'll know whether or not you've done it correctly. And that is the only brace that matters. There's no need to go this way with another brace. We would not want to do it like the old gate was with braces switching directions. There's just no reason to do that. So that's why we've done the compression brace here, is because that's going to be the strongest and lead to the least amount of failure over time. Now we can actually put pickets on.
As soon as you're done, you get all your screws out. Just
In the street, it's the best place for those. We can come back and put more in just a second. Even though it's an old fence, we are going to use stainless steel hardware, which will come in your kit. We just believe in stainless steel because then it's not going to leave all those streaks all over your fence. And hey, you know what? If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. The only reason we're not replacing the pickets is because we want to make everything match and it'll have that unique antique look. Yeah, this is like old pine, I think. You might not have a straightaway for making sure all your tops are even. Other things you can use are strings. The straightaway is the fastest. We sell those on our website. It goes right across the top, makes it super fast and easy to run boards. And if you want one of those, check out the link down below. But today what we're going to use is we're going to use our handy dandy level. Okay, so now we have a little more of a problem. I need that. When we line this up to rip this, what we don't want to do is go past this 2x4. We want to line everything up because that would eliminate our gap. And the whole purpose of having that gap is so we have enough room for our hinge, or sorry, our latch. And the mosquitoes have come out. Is it good? Yeah. Okay, it's good. Oh, skew, brother, that looks good. Okay, that's about as far as we want to take this for today. It's 3:30 and there's cooler places to eat and drink elsewhere. And so we'll be back, what, a couple weeks?
oh yeah, easy.
Easy, yeah, a couple weeks, homeowner will have a new gate, not a big deal. Just kidding, that's not how we work. We work until the job's done.
So one of the things here, when we were talking about the hinges, we have to use this other style of hinge instead of the 8-inch strap hinge. If we're gonna use the 8-inch contemporary strap hinge, what we can do here is
apply it right now.
Apply it right now.
After that hinge is on, cut this gate free right here. Bada bing, bada boom, gate swings. We apply all of our hardware for the latch side and it's done. It's that easy. So we're gonna do this a little differently because these are wraparound style hinges which means I've got these flanges sticking out on one side, and those flanges actually run into the 2x4 here. So we're gonna cut this into the gate free right now. Oh, he's gonna climb over the fence. Somebody should really put a gate here. We really need a gate right here, don't we? Ooh, I bet that hurts your shin right there. That hurts. I can feel that. I feel for you, buddy. He's 10 years younger than me, so I don't have to do that stuff anymore. He gets to be the hopper. So we cut the top and the bottom free, and the middle is still supporting it. So guess what? We were thinking just a little bit. It's probably not wide enough yet, but if I just gotta break that out. Yep, that's it right there. It just fell out. So the screws that come with these hinges, just so you're aware, are very small. They're not very good. They're black, but they're not gonna bite into that. They're gonna sit on the top of the picket, and that's just not gonna be good enough. So we're gonna use some of the stainless steel screws that we use for the pickets and attach that way. And I'm fine with that because we've got 3 here, and then of course, like we mentioned, we've got the wraparound, so that's actually gonna hit that post, we hope. We want to get it centered so that these screws actually hit that 2x4.
If you wanted to, you could put some 3-inchers in that.
Yeah, and we could use big 3-inch screws right here since we've got 4x4 back there. But over here, we don't have the option because we don't have enough meat, so. Okay, that's it for that one. You want to free it up?
Yep.
And the cool thing is I didn't have to lift the gate or hold the gate and try and keep it perfect. Okay. And so that's all we do to cut that free, remove the screws, trim it off. So the other thing you can do is use a reciprocating saw, and it may be a little bit easier to do that. And you can see that when we let it off, it settled a little bit, but that's not a big deal because remember we have this adjustment over here. And the reason it settled is because these hinges have just a little bit of play in them. Not a big deal to just raise this corner back up and we'll get this thing to line up perfectly. Yeah, I think that's good. The last thing we need to do on the inside here is add the extra screws here. We could probably make those 3-inchers. So the cool thing about these hinges is that they are spring-loaded and self-closing, whereas the other ones aren't. So these hinges are quite a bit more, but there's a lot they do that the other hinges won't, and work really, really well. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. We're gonna turn these counterclockwise to load the hinges. If you've done it right, it will close the gate for you, and if you've done it wrong, it will open the gate for you, and if you've done it really wrong, one hinge will try and open the gate, and the other one will try and close the gate, and it'll do nothing but sit there in the same spot. Don't do that. And does it close? Now, is it gonna do that in a great big windstorm? No, probably not. So about 90% of the time here in Wyoming, this gate won't self-close, but we've done all we could do. And that wraparound really adds a ton of strength. I can't tell you how much strength that adds. Then we've got 2 back here we can do. Okay, so you're probably right about now asking, where's the hinge that goes here? Please, please, whatever you do, this is not a door, it's not made in a factory, and things are not exactly perfect. And when things aren't exactly perfect, if we put a 3rd hinge on here, this hinge or one of these hinges will always be in a bind, and it just is prone to failure and wearing out faster because of extra wear. It adds nothing to this gate, and we suggest that because hinges come in pairs of 2, the manufacturer only wants you to put 2 on, and that's all we recommend as well. So that 3rd hinge, please don't do it. Just buy better hinges. If you need the weight carrying capability, don't put 3 hinges on. So now there's 2 ways to put this latch on, a right way and a wrong way. Actually, it just depends on what you're using it for. We can put it on like this. People like that if they have dogs, because if the dogs jump up and pull down on this, it's gonna make the latch stay closed. Whereas if you put it on like this, it will open potentially the gate if a dog jumps up on it. So it's really your preference how you install this. We're not gonna get mad at you either way. All we do is pop that screw out, take this spring off, and then flip it the other way. All of a sudden we have a latch that is exactly what we need. So these are reversible. We like these latches because we don't have to cut holes in the gate. They're super easy to use from both sides of the gate. We've never had a complaint for our customers about how these latches perform, and they actually can hold some of the weight of the gate if you install them correctly. So helps prevent it from sagging because we do have a nice big striker. And all I'm doing is lining up this right on the center rail. May seem a little bit low, and if you wanted to, you could put another piece of blocking in here and raise that up, but I don't find it necessary usually. Ciao. Now what we will do is we'll put our striker on, and then we'll put this over it, and this gives us a little bit of added stability because these are going in, and this is the correct way to do this latch. So what you want to do is not insert it all the way like that, because then we have no meat to put this on. So we actually want to pull that back, go right about there maybe. So it's catching here, but then we get this nice big strap support to help keep it from, if somebody slams the gate, getting ripped off, because now we have support clear out here as well. Because I'm going to be putting some screws close to the end of this, I am going to pre-drill all these. This is where that blocking on the back side of this gate right here actually helps us. The blocking over here is not really necessary. If you want to skip that step, you certainly could, and it would be totally fine. But wait, there's more. We like to put a handle on both sides, and I'm going to put this in just a little bit higher because it's not as important where it is. So we'll just center it on this 2x4 and make it a little bit handier height. That's that. Now, just as an added measure of security, I like to say that I'm a belt and suspenders kind of guy, so we like to overbuild everything. So we're going to go ahead and put a brace on this because we've built everything right, but we want to make sure it's not going to sag. We want to make sure this customer has a gate that operates for a very long time. So we're going to put the anti-sag kit on it, and that is going to be in tension, not compression. So instead of running this way, we're going to run it from this corner to this corner, because what we want is the gate tries to settle, that thing just gets tighter and tighter and tighter and doesn't go anywhere. Difference being, this is a flexible object, this is a rigid object, so we have to install them differently.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna unscrew your turnbuckle all the way out, just like so. You're gonna thread this through just like so.
Could I please?
Yes. You did such a good job. Could you do it again?
I'm gonna do it again.
Okay.
I saw that other hole and I was thinking to myself, you know what would be really good in that other hole? Another screw. Oh, that was so good, man.
Actually, I already screwed up. Because you were talking about wanting to put this at the top, huh?
I was.
There you go, now it's at the top.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this, and we're gonna put this at the bottom, just like you did at the top. Do I need to show you where to put them?
No, I'm gonna assume they go in the... Oh wow, I'm gonna have to hold my tongue just right to get this. Clearly don't have my tongue held right. Now we kind of pull a little bit tightish. Don't be afraid to hang your tongue out your mouth if you just can't quite get it. Oh, you know what? If I pull a little tension on it like that and then put it on there, it kind of squeezes it up. That makes it real nice. And there's our clamp, one on each end. If you have a sagging gate and you just want to try this first before you rebuild it, you know, we sell just these. You got a screwdriver or some sort of a tightener device? I think you picked up what I was gonna use. Oh, you're just gonna use a 3-inch screw. That's brilliant. Yeah, look at that. Man sakes alive, that is good. If you want, you can take a little bit of electrical tape or something and just rewrap that so it doesn't fray. Yeah, I like that. And that's how you install an anti-sag brace. So now we have not only our compression brace, we've got an anti-sag brace.
I'm Dan with SWI.
I'm Mark with SWI.
We are a Wyoming's fence company, and we hope you...
No, we demand
you have a good dang day.
for sure. That really closes the door on today's video.